Hello students, this is Deepa Mukherjee from PN College Parsa, and today we are going to discuss about the features of British Romantic poetry. So when we are saying that British Romantic poetry, basically because we are dealing with British English literature and you have several British Romantic poets to study in your syllabus. So first you will deal with what are the features of this romantic poetry or romantic age or romantic literature, major features, and to lead to that, first we will come to that what was the reason or what led to this British English literature. So also we need to know that who are the major proponents, who are the representative poets of this British Romantic age or British Romantic poetry. So the major proponents are William Blake, William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, John Keats and P.B. Shelley. So you have many of them, maybe except Blake, all of them you have in your syllabus, which we are going to study gradually. If we have to point out that what was the beginning of British Romantic age, then here we have a clear-cut date which is considered to be the beginning of British Romantic literature, and that is 1798 with the publication of Lyrical Ballad. So Lyrical Ballad is a collection of poems which was published anonymously initially. It was two poets, two of the major romantic poets, Wordsworth and Coleridge, together published this. In the first edition, there were 23 poems, of which most of them were by Wordsworth. Only 4 poems were by Coleridge. However, there was also a second edition of Lyrical Ballad which came in the year 1800, and there again Coleridge increased the number of his contribution, and then Wordsworth added another preface and also another annexure to it, and all that. Several things happened which you should study for detail, like the informations. Okay. And now so why this date 1798 is considered to be beginning of Romanticism? Because there was a clear-cut change that can be found in the literary style of the previous age. And what was the previous age? That was the 18th century age of prose and reason. The age itself is called 18th century age of prose and reason, which is also known as Augustan age or neoclassical age, and all these names are suggestive of the kind of writing that was taking place in that age, where writings were more about the real world, the mundane world. And here on the Romantic age, like you call that age to be age of prose and reason, whereas Romantic age is an age of imagination. So there is a clear-cut distinction. So what was the reason of that change? Many critics say that this change was got translated into literature from several social phenomenon. What sort of phenomenon? Like America got independence. 13 of the American colonies, they were colonies of British Empire, and then they fought for long, and in 1783 they won their independence over these colonizers. So British colonial power faced a major setback with that, and then the major change came with the French Revolution. The French Revolution took place in 1789. So in 1789, so what led to the French Revolution is not just a mere revolution, but it was a major setback to the world order. For the first time, like monarchy was toppled down. this long running monarchy, and then that was toppled down by People's Republic, and the entire world order changed. Everywhere those who were dominating, they that power structure got challenged, faced this challenge, and then that was diminished. Everywhere people were talking of change, of independence. So these things, these were kind of got also translated into human consciousness. So throughout Europe there was a change of consciousness, and that also got reflected in literature, that too British English literature. Also, why we need to understand that if we study British English literature, we will see that every age was a reaction to the previous age. Like for example, when we say Renaissance was a reaction to the kind of medieval slumber in which the European world was indulged in, and then comes Renaissance. And then after Renaissance, even though for a very, like Renaissance was a age of new imagination, new things, new consciousness, and then there came this brief period, but a age of restriction, which is also known as this Cromwellian era, which was like a Puritan age when poetry writing was more restricted, theaters were closed. So everywhere there was a kind of imposition or kind of restriction on literature and art forms. But then that was that was succeeded by what? That was succeeded by age of restoration, and that restoration was also of art and literature and theater, and we can see there was a kind of like a burst of several literary works, theater, and which was also kind of turned out to be a kind of low in quality, full of frivolity and frailty. So, or rather dealing with human frailty, and also the quality degraded. So as a reaction to that, again there came a age of more restriction, which was the age of prose and reason, where people were talking more of sense and things that are just, and human life, and how things should be more critical in their ways. And then that was succeeded by this romantic age, which is an age more of emotion, of spontaneous overflow of feelings, of subjectivity. People were talking about their own feeling, their own emotions. People were not like writers were no more concerned only about human life, but they were talking about nature. So things beyond human concern. So there was a sense of escape from this real world in which till then the literature was confined in. So in this way we can see that there is a clear-cut shift from the kind of literature that was there in the previous age. For example, you also have Macflecknoe in your Dryden's Macflecknoe in your syllabus. So you can see, if you read it, you will see that how there is a clear-cut distinction between the writing style of the age of Dryden, or the Dryden's writing style, and the writing style of these romantic poets. During this age of prose and reason, things were also written in heroic couplet. Heroic couplet is a much more restricted kind of pattern of writing, whereas these romantic poets were started writing again blank verse, in which earlier Shakespeare were writing during the time of Renaissance. So there was this, and blank verse is a more open writing style where you do not need to confine your expressions in a metrical pattern. So that was again, there was this kind of sense of relaxation, giving yourself a sense of freedom. So that was there, and now we need to focus gradually, one by one, focus in detail the features of romantic poetry.